I'm 92. I don't take a single pill. I still drive my car. And I still remember what I had for lunch last Thursday. Now, most people hear that and think it's either a miracle or a lie. Because we've been taught that getting older means living with a medicine cabinet full of pills, a foggy memory, and days that slowly shrink into quiet dependency. But I'm here to tell you something different. My life didn't change because I won the genetic lottery. In fact, my parents passed young. My siblings take a dozen medications a day. I never had expensive health insurance, and I wasn't born with a strong body or a perfect mind. What I did have was time, and a willingness to treat each day like a quiet chance to begin again. What made the difference? 6 simple daily habits, not flashy, not expensive, but repeated, like a quiet promise to myself, for decades. So if you're over 60 and feeling like your best years are behind you, come sit with me. Let me show you what's still possible. And if this video speaks to you, give it a like, subscribe for more, and share in the comments. What small habit changed your life? The very first habit that changed everything for me is something so simple. Most people overlook it. I call it my quiet beginning. Every morning before I do anything else, before I check the news, before I think about breakfast, even before my tea, I go to the light. That's what I call it. Just 10 minutes with the morning sky. I either stand by the front door or walk a few steps to where the sunlight touches the earth. I let it hit my face, my eyes, my skin, and I breathe. That's it. No fanfare, no yoga mats, no affirmations, just light and breath. I began this habit years ago, after a trip to the countryside where the bedroom windows had no curtains. I woke up with sunlight streaming in and I felt awake in a way I hadn't felt in years. My thoughts were clearer, my shoulders felt lighter. That day moved differently, and when I got home, I tried to recreate it, not with gadgets or schedules, just with my presence. Since then, it's been my anchor. There's a reason this works. Morning light resets the body's internal clock. It regulates the circadian rhythm that tells us when to wake, when to eat, and when to rest. That same light helps reduce cortisol, the stress hormone that creeps in quietly as we age. It also boosts serotonin, the chemical that keeps your mood steady and your mind alert. And later in the evening, it helps the body prepare melatonin, the sleep hormone we so desperately need to rest deeply. But I don't do this because of the science. I do it because I feel it. On the days I skip it, my mind is heavier. My thoughts feel scattered. My body moves more slowly. And on the days I go to the light, something shifts. It's as if my body says, "Thank you, now I know what to do." That kind of awareness doesn't come from reading a book. It comes from paying attention to how your body responds, gently, quietly, but surely. Even in winter, when the clouds cover the sky and the wind stings my cheeks, I still go out. I put on a coat, hold a warm cup of tea, and let the natural light find me. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's no scorecard. There's just the discipline of showing up. And in that small act, I've learned something bigger. When I begin my day with light, I begin it with intention. I begin it with life. Too often, people wake up and dive straight into noise, screens, emails, headlines, and then they wonder why they feel tired, unmotivated, out of rhythm. But your body is always listening, and when you step outside, even for a few minutes, and say, "Here I am," your body hears it. It recalibrates. It softens. It wakes up with you. I don't believe in magic, but I do believe in rhythm. And light, real, natural light, is part of that rhythm. It costs nothing. It takes almost no effort. And yet, it gives everything. So before you reach for anything else, reach for the morning. Let it greet you. Let it remind you the day has begun, and so have you. The second habit I hold on to, perhaps just as tightly as the first, is how I begin my mornings with a cup of warm herbal tea. I gave up black coffee years ago, not because I had to, not because someone warned me, but because I realized I wanted to start my day differently, softly. There was a time when my mornings felt rushed. I'd wake up and reach for caffeine like it was a lifeline, But the truth is, it made my hands jittery, my stomach sour, and my mind restless before the day even began. So I stopped. I chose something quieter, gentler. I chose tea. Now, every morning before speaking to anyone, before the phone rings or the world asks anything of me, I boil a kettle. I choose a herb. Ginger if I feel slow, chamomile if the night was restless, mint when I want clarity, turmeric when my joints speak louder than I like. And I sit. I hold the cup with both hands. I bring it close to my face and breathe in the warmth. That breath alone tells my body, you're safe, you're awake, and you don't have to rush. The tea warms my core, wakes up my digestion, and hydrates my system after a long night's sleep. But beyond that, it creates something far more important. It creates presence. I don't check the clock. I don't multitask. I don't get distracted. I just sit, sip, and exist. And in that stillness, my body aligns itself. My thoughts slow down. My heartbeat steadies. The world can wait a few more minutes. Because this cup isn't just a beverage, it's a ritual. A quiet agreement between me and my body that today will begin with calm, not chaos. I've done this ritual in silence, with music, by the window, or outside under the sky. It doesn't matter where. What matters is the intention behind it. There's power in starting slow, there's wisdom in easing in. This small act, repeated day after day, helps regulate my digestion, improve my mood, and keep my energy more stable than any pill ever could. And perhaps most importantly, it gives me a sense of control, a reminder that even as time passes and things change, I still have a say in how I greet each day. So if you've spent your mornings feeling anxious, scattered, or already worn out before breakfast, I invite you to try this. Just for 1 week, boil some water, choose a herb, sit quietly with it, breathe in, sip slowly. You don't need to believe in anything to feel its effect. You just need to be there fully, with yourself. Then, come back and tell me how it went. I'd love to hear what changed, even if it's just a little. Because sometimes the little things are what hold us together. And this cup of tea, it's held me gently for many, many years. The third habit that truly changed my body and my mind was one I used to dismiss as unnecessary. I used to skip breakfast, or worse, I'd eat whatever was easy, white bread, something sweet, or nothing at all if I felt too tired to bother. But over the years, I started noticing a pattern. When I didn't eat properly in the morning, the rest of my day unraveled. My energy dipped too soon, my thoughts were scattered. I got irritable without understanding why. So I changed it, slowly, intentionally, and now breakfast is one of the most sacred parts of my day. Not because it's trendy, or because a doctor told me to, but because I realized that my body needed a signal, a rhythm, something to say, we're beginning now and we're doing it right. These days I make sure to eat within an hour, maybe 90 minutes after waking. I keep it simple. Real food, whole food, eggs, a bit of avocado, sometimes oats or a piece of fruit, enough to fuel me, but never so much that I feel heavy or slow. It's not just about what I eat, it's about when I eat it and how I feel while doing so. This one habit helps stabilize my blood sugar, which means no mid-morning crashes, no foggy brain, and no emotional swings that used to leave me feeling off balance for hours. When you start your day with steady energy, you make better decisions. You feel more grounded. You move through your morning without the usual rush or regret. For me, it became a small act of respect. That quiet moment where I acknowledge my body's need, not with guilt or pressure, but with care. And I want you to know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need expensive ingredients. You don't have to cook like a chef. You just need to choose something that nourishes you. Something with protein, with fiber, with natural energy. Something that reminds your body. We're not skipping out on ourselves today. We're here, we're present, and we're moving with intention. There's a kind of quiet dignity in choosing to eat well at the start of the day, not to impress anyone, not to lose weight, but simply because you still believe your body deserves care, especially in older age, when the world often expects us to shrink, to slow, to settle for less. I don't settle anymore. Not in the morning, not in my health, not in how I speak to myself through my choices. So if you've fallen into the habit of skipping breakfast or grabbing whatever's easy and calling it enough, try this instead. Wake up tomorrow and choose one real thing. Sit down, eat slowly, let it mean something. Then come back and tell me how you felt. Maybe it won't feel like a big deal at first, but give it a few days. Watch how your body responds when you treat it like it matters. Because it does, and it always has. The fourth habit didn't start from inspiration. It started from fear. I was 75 when I first noticed it. Words slipping away mid-sentence, dates getting tangled in my head, moments I should have remembered turning hazy. I could have blamed age, called it normal, let it slide. But something inside me resisted. I've always believed that the mind, much like the body, weakens when you stop using it. And I wasn't ready to fade into forgetfulness. So I made a decision, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet and firm. I would exercise my brain every day, not with pressure, but with purpose. At first, I didn't know where to begin, so I started small. I read one paragraph slowly and tried to repeat it in my own words. I tested myself, recalling old addresses, birthdays, and the lyrics of a song I hadn't heard in years. I made grocery lists and memorized them before leaving the house. No fancy programs, no screens. Just me, my thoughts, and the desire to stay sharp. And you know what? It worked. Day by day, I felt the fog lifting. I found clarity, not just in memory, but in emotion, in decision-making, in how I held a conversation. My confidence returned. I no longer feared silence in the middle of a sentence. I trusted myself again. This habit has done more than preserve my memory. It's preserved my independence. I still manage my appointments, I still make choices for myself, and that, to me, is freedom. Because when you keep your brain alive, you keep your dignity intact. That doesn't mean I never forget things. We all do. But I notice now when my brain is tired, when it's asking for rest or stimulation, I listen. I respect its signals. That's something aging teaches you, how to pay attention. Some days I'll read a chapter. Others I'll play with numbers in my head or write down 3 things I'm grateful for. I keep it varied, but I keep it daily. Like brushing my teeth or making the bed, it's just part of my rhythm now. And what I've realized is this. Every time you challenge your mind, even a little, it responds. It strengthens. It reorganizes. It wakes up. And over time, that waking up becomes part of who you are. You walk into rooms with presence, you speak with certainty. You feel alive, not just physically, but mentally. So if you've noticed your mind slowing down, don't panic, don't give up, just begin. Choose one small challenge each day. Learn a new word. Remember a recipe from memory. Count backwards. From 100 in sevens. Yes, it's hard, but that's the point. The brain loves effort. It rewards it in silence. And one day you'll notice it too, when a memory returns, when a thought flows easily, when you surprise yourself with clarity. Try it this week. Just one little brain task a day. Then come back and let me know. I want to hear how it goes. Because this habit isn't just about remembering your past. It's about making sure you're still fully present, here, now, and ready for what's ahead. This 5th habit might sound small, but it has carried more weight in my life than I ever expected. I'm not a handyman. Never built a fence, never fixed a car. But I fold clothes like it matters. Because it does. When my hands move with purpose, something inside me aligns. There's a quiet magic in doing something physical, something real. It could be sweeping the floor, slicing vegetables, watering a plant, or writing a note by hand. These aren't chores, they're anchors. They ground me when the world feels too fast or too loud or too disconnected. When I was younger, I used to think I needed to be productive all the time, always chasing something, always proving I had value. But as I grew older, I learned that the most valuable moments are often the most ordinary. Doing one simple thing with my hands each day gives me rhythm, gives me peace. It calms the noise in my mind. It softens the tightness in my chest. It reminds me that I'm not just sitting around, waiting for life to pass. I'm participating. I'm shaping something, no matter how small. Science now tells us that these little tasks, folding laundry, knitting, making a sandwich, stimulate parts of the brain tied to memory and movement. They keep our hands coordinated, our reflexes active. But for me, beyond the science, they offer something else. They remind me that I can still care, that I still have influence, that I'm not helpless, even if no one else sees it, even if it's just me folding a dish towel with care. I feel that spark of capability, that whisper of dignity. There are days when my energy dips, days when I don't feel like talking or reading or going anywhere. But even then, I try to do just one thing with my hands. I wipe down the kitchen table. I smooth the wrinkles in the blanket. I rearrange the silverware drawer. It doesn't matter what I do, it matters that I do it, that I don't disappear into stillness, that I keep moving, keep connecting my body to the world around me. Sometimes I think about all the people who feel invisible as they age, who feel like they have nothing left to offer. And to them I'd say this: you don't need to be strong or fast or busy. You just need to stay connected to yourself, to the moment, to the task in front of you. Try it. Pick one small thing to do today with intention. Peel a fruit slowly, lightly dust a surface, sharpen a pencil and write your name. Then come back and tell me how it felt. Not what you accomplished, but how it made you feel to do something. Real with your hands for no one else but yourself. Because when I do something with my hands, I'm not just keeping busy. I'm telling myself that I still exist in this world, that I still have rhythm and usefulness and touch. And at this age, that means everything. The sixth habit may not sound as exciting as morning tea or brain games, but it's one I guard closely. Because there's a quiet truth I've come to understand over the years. There's a direct connection between my room and my mind. When my home is clear, I breathe better. I think better. I feel lighter. But when things pile up, papers, clothes, objects I no longer use, I start to feel scattered, like I'm carrying weight I can't see. That clutter seeps into my thoughts. It crowds my focus, clouds my emotions, and slows down everything from decision-making to sleep. That's why every morning I start by letting light in. Before breakfast, before conversation, I open the blinds. I let the sun find the corners of the room. Even on cloudy days, I welcome whatever brightness the sky has to offer. Light, to me, is medicine. It's calm. It lifts the dullness off my mood and reminds me that the day is mine to shape. Alongside that, I've made a habit of keeping my space open and simple, not sterile, just intentional. I make sure walkways are clear. I keep surfaces open. I avoid letting too many things gather dust in dark corners. I'm not chasing perfection. I just want space that reflects how I want to feel, uncluttered, peaceful, still. Once a week, I choose one drawer, one shelf, or one corner to clear out. I touch each item and ask, do I still need this? And if I don't, I let it go. Not because things are bad, but because too many things, especially when we're older, start to hold us in place. They become noise. And when we clear that noise, something beautiful happens. The air feels fresher. We walk with more ease. We find what we need without frustration. And perhaps most importantly, we give ourselves the gift of calm. This practice isn't about organizing like a professional or living like a monk. It's about creating space to return to yourself, to sit down in a chair with soft light on your face and feel like your surroundings aren't pulling at you. They're holding you, supporting you, making room for you to think, to remember, to simply be. I've found that the smallest changes, a window opened, a corner swept, a shelf cleared, can shift the way I carry myself through the day. I stumble less, I forget less, I worry less, and for someone my age, those three things are priceless. You don't need to renovate. You don't need to buy storage bins. You just need to begin, gently, patiently, with what's in front of you. Choose one small thing today and clear it. Let in the light. Create a spot that feels like peace, even if it's just one chair by the window. And then let me know how it made you feel. Not because I need to hear it, but because you deserve to notice it. We don't need more things. We need more space. To be still, to feel safe, to return to ourselves. And that, more than anything, is what I've learned to protect. Aging doesn't have to mean decline. It can mean clarity. It can mean strength. These 6 simple daily habits have kept my mind sharp, my body strong, and my spirit grounded at 92, with no medication, no shortcuts, and no regrets. Each habit, sunlight, tea, breakfast, brain work, handiwork, and a peaceful space, reminds me that longevity isn't about luck. It's about rhythm, discipline, emotional presence, and most of all, self-respect. You don't need expensive treatments or perfect routines. You just need to start. One habit, one morning, one breath at a time. And the results may surprise you, not just in your health, but in how you feel about your life. If this video reminded you of your own journey, I invite you to share your story in the comments. What habit keeps you going each day? Let's learn from each other. And if this spoke to you, like the video and subscribe for more real-life wisdom, simple, quiet, and strong, just like you.